right, welcome back to another episode of Lounge 11 with Femi and Samco. Samco, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, bro. No complaints. No football. It's just the whole international stuff. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How do you do you watch a lot of international football? Because I use it to
I
take a
do.
break.
I
Oh
do.
yeah,
Yeah, I do. I wouldn't lie. I do. I watch a lot of international football. Sometimes I use the opportunity to watch like the under 21s, but also the female football, more of like the Champions League and all that. It usually happen during the men's international break. So
right.
I still get to watch some, yeah, to watch some
Yeah, I know
games.
you
Yeah.
texted us on our one of our internal memo groups. Talking about you watch the I
Oh
think
yeah, the
the
Champions League game. Yeah, the
yeah
game
yeah
against
yeah
Lyon. Yeah, it was a good game actually. It was a good
that's the
game.
Arsenal women's
The
team.
Arsenal women's game.
Yeah
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Any standout performance from that game?
We actually lost the game, but it was actually a very good game. That Russo girl, man, her and Kelly, I'm a big fan. Kelly didn't really have the best of games, but Russo, she's the one that actually scored. At the time I sent that message, she just had like a beautiful finish. Like I
Yeah.
really do enjoy watching her play. So it was a good game, no bad. Yeah. I know I watched that one. I tried to also catch up with the Barcelona game, but Barcelona was just slapping the other guys anyhow. So even so I just stopped with watching the Arsenal game basically. But it was a good game. Good game. Leon are a very, very good team. Yeah.
I just struggle with. I don't know if you saw Henri's comments. I think it was the last Champions League round where I was talking about too many games. I think I
Yeah.
also struggle with too many games these days. So when
Yeah.
I get to international break, I really disconnect. I
Yeah.
rarely watch any of the games. What did you make of Henri's comments on?
I totally agree with him. Like the perfect example was the Club World Cup. Like even when I tried as much to like follow the competition, the group stages I just couldn't really do it. I tried so much. Knockout
Right.
stages, I found myself I didn't really get into it to the semifinals back again. So it was the
Yeah.
same, and I decided to just take it off and just relax, not
Yeah.
really engage much when it came to like football chat groups and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
now we're back. And I wouldn't say I pay so much attention, but there are always like a game or two I would like to watch and see. Yesterday I watched the England Welsh game. Today I watched the Switzerland Sweden first half. Then I watched the France second half game. So yeah, it wasn't bad.
Who won
Yeah.
the? I didn't even. I did see highlights from the England game.
Switzerland, I think that game finished 2-0. France finished 3-0. France should have ended that game with like 5-6 with the second half alone. But I think he ended 3-0. Switzerland, Sweden was 2-0. Sweden missed a very nice open post in the first half, but I think the game ended 2-0 for Switzerland. Yeah.
Gyökeres plays for Sweden,
Sweden.
right?
Yeah, him and Isak.
How did they manage that?
Yeah, so they
Isak
play
and
like a 3-5-2.
Gyökeres. Oh,
They
so they
play
play with
three-five
defense,
two,
right?
so two of them play up top. Yeah, they play up top. Then you
Interesting.
have the likes of like Elanga, Eda off the right of the wing. Even
Well,
this
that's a
game, I
strong
didn't even
team.
know the kid that actually missed the chance. I didn't even know it was a kid actually. Because when the commentators were talking about it was actually Begval from Spurs. So he actually started in the midfield. Yeah, he actually started in the midfield today. Yeah.
That's a decent team. Yeah,
Yeah, they have a decent team. It's not bad. It's
that's a
not bad.
decent team.
Mind you, they say have like them Kulusevski and stuff like that that are not available. So yeah, it's not a bad
Interesting.
team. Yeah, it's not a bad team.
Well, good, good. Let's jump right into, some of the games that happened since the last time we've been here. I think the big game that we were, talking about on the last episode was the Chelsea Liverpool game. Both of those teams were going into the game without, a lot of positive results, we should say. I think Chelsea had won. It was a 1-5, and Liverpool had just lost two games back to back. But we'll start with Chelsea. They were, obviously under a little bit of pressure, but from their standpoint, it was a very good result. Was a 2-1
So
win to them at home against Liverpool.
no.
That's pretty much what I predicted. But any thoughts on the game from a Chelsea's perspective? How they set up? No Palmer, lots of injuries
Yeah.
that they were dealing with, and still able to come away with it.
Yeah, I mean, when a lot of these big teams play each other, I tend to not always think form comes into the game. And you can see Chelsea had a different midfield because I think James had to play in the midfield this time. Their centre back pairing was pretty much Achipong and who was the other person? They were pretty much, I would say, maybe playing for the first, second, third time and stuff like that. But if there's one thing that I think Maresca did in that game that I really did like how he set up his team was he tried to also always make sure his wingers were isolated with Liverpool's fullbacks, like
Yep.
literally every time. And you could see because of that, Garnacho who had a very, very good game. Like Bradley literally struggled throughout the game. So that was the one thing I liked about his approach to that game. But I think watching the game, you could tell the Chelsea players wanted it more. And I'm sure being at Stafford Bridge, having the fans behind their back also helped them as well. But it was a very, very good tactical game from Maresca for sure. I think he definitely did outcoach Slot in that game. And I think this was also one of those games that it came out. If you remember a few episodes ago, we talked about it, and I said the way Liverpool is playing and these results they'll be getting at the last minute is not sustainable because this is what
Right.
the Premier League is all about. And if you look at their last two games, especially in the Premier League, the same way they have been winning games were literally the same way they lost the games and all that. So definitely have to give credit to Chelsea. I think Liverpool just looked so all over the place. There are just so many factors in that game in terms of the tactical aspect and the way I saw how Slot wanted to arrange or have his team play together, especially in the midfield. You could tell he was trying to like force everybody when he wants to have the McAllisters, Vert, Sabosla, everybody at the pitch at the same time. I think was led by Kirkes hasn't had his best start to the league in a Liverpool shirt. Salah isn't having a good game. McAllister hasn't had a good season, although he's been injured. And I think Konate as well. Konate hasn't started the season pretty much good. So it was a good game to watch, especially for the neutrals. I think I predicted a 2-2 draw. I knew Liverpool were not winning that game for sure at Stamford Bridge. So the result was actually surprising to me.
I want to double click on a few things you said there. Right? You did mention that you think Chelsea wanted it more and
Hmm.
that Maresca outcoached Slot. You're talking about a
Yeah,
Premier League champion there. Right?
yeah.
So let's unpack both of those things. What do you mean by, you know, because when I hear a team wants it more, I feel like the other team have every right to feel disrespected, right? You have 11
Yeah.
players who step on the pitch wanting to win a Premier League game.
Yeah.
How does another team want it more than you, and how do you get a
When you,
coach in
I,
that sense?
for me, when you see the way the game went, especially in the first half, a lot of the duels, the 50-50 balls, you could see the Chelsea players were definitely more up for it. Like they were chasing every ball. Their high press was very much impressive compared to that of Liverpool. Liverpool were struggling in terms of their passes a lot of the times, getting the ball moved from either defense to midfield or midfield to the attack and stuff like that. They had more intensity when compared to Liverpool. So that's why I felt like they wanted that game more for sure.
Fair enough. And then
Yeah.
on the out coaching side of things, what did you think Slot got wrong?
The thing I've noticed with him, I don't know, I think he's trying to play 4-2-3-1. But in terms of the midfield, I have noticed he's kind of pushed Gravenberch to almost play that number 8 and is having McAllister sit in the 6. And McAllister is actually not even having his best season so far. Then when I said Maresca outcoached him, I think his ability to make his wingers isolate Liverpool's fullbacks was a brilliant thing he did. Because if you look at this season, like I just mentioned, Kirkers hasn't had the best start in the Liverpool shirt. Their right back, they still don't know who is going to be. Is it Bradley? Is it Frimpong? Is it Saboslai? So I think he actually did target those two positions and said, we're going to isolate those people so we can also have like our midfielders or our strikers try to have much of a single battle with the likes of Van Dijk and Konate. Konate as well is not having the best season. You could see every time they did the high press, especially towards Konate, he was finding struggles of letting that ball go, either putting it long or passing it to someone closer to him. So I think just the ability to isolate Liverpool's fullbacks in that game was a very good tactical decision from Maresca, and I think Liverpool struggled with that very much, especially in the first half. And even in the second half, you could see when he made the substitutions and bringing the likes of Estaval and Gittins, literally you could see they did the same thing, and that was how they brought out the winning goal. So For me, I think he definitely outcoached Slot with that one.
On the Liverpool side of things, in getting ready for this, even on our banter conversations on Clubhouse, and then reading through comments on Twitter and or X as they call it now, and Instagram and all of that, you can see that there is some kind of pushback from fans on the Liverpool side of things. Slot made a substitution that got everybody talking when he put an Endo to
Yes,
the
he
team.
brought in Endo, yeah.
What did you make of that substitution?
It's funny because I remember a few weeks ago when Liverpool played Arsenal, and I remember I was one of the people that said Mikel took a cowardly approach in terms of the
Yeah,
personnel in the players that he chose. And I'll apply the same thing. I think they were fortunate to get their goal. It was a beautiful
the
touch from
equalizer.
Isaac, the equalizer, yeah. But
That was a
again,
miscontrol, though.
I actually don't think it was a miscontrol. I think it was a
I thought it was a
beautiful I
miscontrol.
think it was a beautiful control, but I think
Yeah.
it was his intent was to control the ball, try to turn and shoot.
Correct. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's
So I
right.
thought
Yeah.
that's what he was trying to do. Yeah. But I think it was crazy because when you look at the bench, right, for Slot in that game, he had Chiesa on the bench, who's been coming off their bench and done some very good work for them this season. I'll say within their first 7 to 8 games, right? So in a game where most people would say he should go for it, he's at Stamford Bridge. You always want to win when you go to your rivals or one of the top 6 home. It's clear to you again, like I said last episode, the way we see the game and the way these managers see the games are totally different. There was a reason he chose to go with Endo more off than Chiesa, because I believe that he felt they didn't have what it takes at that moment in time to win that game. And this is based on how the game was going. Because at that time, Chelsea were more on top. They were attacking more, and you could tell they were trying to win the game. And when you can see that his defense hasn't been the best. If you notice in the second half, he brought in, I think that was when they brought in Verts and pushed Szoboszlai to the right back and everything, right? So now he's seeing is a little bit of that defense. He wants to beef up his defense a little bit because at worst, you go home with a draw. So I would give the same tag and say, based on his personnel approach, I would say he took the cowardly approach, but this is all based on what the general consensus is. For me, it's totally fine because if you can't win a game, do everything you can to not lose it, right? And that's why I say there's a reason why these managers see it's totally different from the way we do. I think it was the right thing for him to do at that point in time. That's why he took that approach. Unfortunately, it did not work for him. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it wouldn't work. So, yeah. How did you even see the game yourself? Like,
Well, the Chelsea, I think I was really impressed with Chelsea's resilience because if you look at the stats, there was not much in between the two teams. Actually, you've given credit to Neto and Garnacho, but at some point I called with their contributions empty calories, right? But to be fair, they kept those fullbacks occupied on the Liverpool side, so in some sense you could say they did a job for the team. But when you look at the shots on target or whatever it was pretty even. I don't think anybody
pretty
did
even.
much. I think actually Liverpool probably had 2 shots the entire game on target. So they kept Liverpool at bay. I think the fact that they were missing key players, they had defenders out due to injuries, would have been enough reason for them to kind of fold and pack it in, right? But they did not at any point, right? Even when the equalizer came in for Liverpool, we've seen Liverpool do that a few times this season where they equalize, late in the game and even go on to win. And
Go out to
the
win
story
it,
looked
yeah.
like it was writing itself again. But
Mm-hmm.
they kept going and they found a way to win. So from a Chelsea standpoint, I think they did what they had to do.
Yeah.
From a Liverpool standpoint, I thought it was interesting, right? Because you want to see how they come out to react, given that they've lost 2 games consecutively and they've given up a 5 point. It was five. They were up 5 points,
5 points,
right?
yes.
At
5
some
points.
point. And actually, it's interesting because they could have been up 8 points, right? Because they
8
played the
points,
first
yeah.
game before Arsenal, and if I remember, they played, I think, Crystal
Oh,
Palace
yeah, the
first.
first game they played, Crystal Palace was before the Newcastle game, but West
Right.
Ham was before the Chelsea game, yeah.
Exactly. So if the Crystal Palace game had gone differently
Had gone
and the
differently.
Newcastle game had gone differently, we could have been looking at an 8 point gap, right?
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
find themselves going from 5 point lead, potentially 8 point, opening up an 8 point lead to now a point behind is really interesting from a Liverpool standpoint.
Mhm.
I think they are really not going to have to take a deep inward look as to, man, this is going to be a fight, right? We're only in game week 7. You open up a 5 point lead, and now you're coming back from the international break, 3 losses on the bounce, and you're now a point behind Arsenal in on the table. So yeah,
Mhm.
their mindset was really interesting to me. You would think that given the results they had prior to that game, that they're going on an onslaught, but we didn't see that. And ultimately, the result was, I think, fair.
So from the outside looking into Liverpool now, like what do you get from what has happened in the last week? Because I'm one of those people that has always said, in terms of the Premier League, I remember when Arsenal were 5 points behind, and there was a lot of noise. I remember me
Yeah,
saying, I'm not just one of those knee jerk reaction fans. Like, I like to just look at things for what they are or beyond what they are. And 7 days down the line, everything literally totally switched, and Liverpool are 1 point behind. So when you look at
yeah.
Liverpool now, and this has to be the first time we've seen Liverpool in this situation, especially since Slot came in, what's what feeling do you get from the outside looking in?
No, not much has changed from me in terms of, we've all been watching this game for a long time. The league is not won in game week 4 or 5, contrary to what, some of their fans might have you believe, right? Like there's still a long road ahead. And at the start of the season, remember when we were giving predictions, I said one of the reasons why I didn't have Arsenal as favorites was cohesion, right? New players coming in, how is everything going to fit together? Now, granted, we seem to be doing better than, others in trying to figure that out. We've played fewer players, but on the Liverpool side, to be fair, they've also signed quite a bit of players as well.
Mhm.
And I think you're seeing for the first time Slot try to bring his
His
imprint to the
Mhm.
team. I think last season he didn't try to change too much, and rightfully so. You're inheriting a team from club, big egos, big personnel, guys who have won pretty much everything. You can't
Yeah.
just come in and lay the marker down and tell them how to how to play games. They're gonna be like, bro, we won everything before you came. So I think
Yeah.
there was that dance where he had to maybe adjust a little bit. And going into this season, clearly you can see him trying to mold this team into the image that he prefers. And that is also bringing some teething problems. I don't think Salah, I think I said it pretty early in the season that I don't think Salah touches 20 league goals this season, right? And we're
Yeah, that
seeing
would be tough.
signs of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're seeing signs of that
that would be
because,
tough. Yeah.
and it's not an indictment on Salah's abilities. Salah to me is going to go down as a Premier League legend. It is just observing the way the game is being played that guy Slot wants to generate goals across the front line.
Across.
So I don't think
Yes.
they're building a team around trying to maximize Salah's output, particularly as opposed to the overall teams. And I think another thing that's understated is Trent's absence in the team is huge, right?
Very. This particular game, I saw it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think I called that out pretty
Mm-hmm.
early because
Yeah.
Trent is a unicorn kind of player, right? We
Yeah.
all know his defensive liabilities and things like that, but what it brings from an attacking standpoint is just undeniable.
Yeah.
And I think you're even seeing that with Slots trying to replicate some of that. I think Soboslai playing right back is not just out of lack of personnel; it's trying to have that inverted right wing, right fullback kind of guy
Yeah.
step into the midfield a little bit to approximate some of the stuff that Trent used to bring. So I think they're just really struggling with having everybody come together. And finally, I said this last episode, right? I went back to look at the data from last season and their point total. Again, you don't want to discredit the winners because they ultimately won, but their point total was closer to Leicester in the last 10 years than it had been to even Liverpool at the peak of what Klopp had been, right? So that just suggested that, if other teams that kind of just showed up to the party, Arsenal and Man
Mm-hmm.
City last season, they probably would have had a tougher run to the
Yeah.
title.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that now. I think they had 14, is it 14 points they have now from the first 7 games? And
15.
15. I think you had
15.
posted it somewhere. I can't remember
Yeah.
whether it's 15 but basically there's a one
Oh,
point
compared to last
delta.
season. Yeah, I think they had 18 points at the same time last season, and this season they have 50. Oh,
Are you
what?
sure? I'm gonna look it up actually. I think
Oh,
it
no,
was
no,
a
no, no,
one
no, no, no,
point
no,
delta.
no,
It
no,
was
no, no,
one
no, no, no,
point
no.
off.
But there was something behind that picture. Yeah, there was something behind
Oh,
that picture.
oh
So,
really?
yeah, there was something. I
I
remember
just
the
followed
picture you're
you.
talking about. So, literally,
Yeah.
what happened was when I posted that picture, I was waiting
Right.
for some of the Liverpool guys to jump on it and be like, oh, don't worry. We see that shows you
But
that we still have
they
somewhere
did
good.
now.
But it was actually a lie.
Oh,
The actual scenario was they were 18
18
points
points
at this
from
point
March
this
from
season.
7. Yes,
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 yes. I
yes.
remember the picture now. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're essentially or 3 points
3
off,
points off. Yeah.
which is not actually
It's
it's
not
not the
bad.
worst thing in
It's
the
still the
world. But
beginning of the season.
yeah, the point being that, they're not too far off where they were last season at the same
Mm-hmm.
point, right? But now you can see that there's much more parity at the top, right? Like a
Yeah,
lot more
yeah,
teams are closer to them than they were able to you know, uh, open up a lead, like they've done in the past. So I think all those things coming together is going to make
yes,
it's going to make it really challenging for them. Again, they're champions. They have great players on that side. I think Slot is a decent enough coach. I think they'll figure it out. It's still a long season, so they
yeah,
have time on their side.
yeah. Most definitely. I think they have time. Like I've said, I'm one of those people. I don't even pay attention to the table till January because I believe the first half of the season is where you pick as much. I call them prerequisite points. You pick as much points as you need because from
Yeah,
January that's where by that time, you're knowing your long-term injuries. You're either
yeah.
in the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup has started, the Champions League is involved. So that's where your actual squad starts getting tested and stuff like that. So usually
Mhm.
that's when I start taking much attention to the table. But it doesn't mean that the first half of the season is not important. And I think there's no panic because even when Arsenal were 5 points behind and people were just panicking. I was like, yo, this isn't just started. This is game week 5 out of 38. That tells you we still have 35 games to go. So I don't think there should be any panic, even if we have been seeing a lot of like panic in the Liverpool section, which is quite funny. But then again, it just tells you what the league is all about. And even fans, I think they're holier than thou. Like you can still feel a certain type of way as well when your team is still not just doing as you have expected them to do. So yeah.
Yes, too many subplots still to play out. Like FA Cup hasn't started yet. December when we all know that the games come thick and fast.
Yeah.
We're not even there yet. So it's like, yeah, it's too many things. And
Yeah.
then how do teams navigate injury crisis when they inevitably come?
Yeah.
I think this year we have the Nations Cup, or at least this season we have the Nations Cup in
Thank
between.
you. That's the other part
Just
I don't
too
like.
many things
Yeah,
that,
because even
yeah,
beginning of the season as well, you have an international break in August, you have in October, you have in November. So teams are not
November
even able to have that consistency in terms
consistency,
of
right?
team. You play 3-4 games, you're out for 2 weeks, 3-4 games. But from November till is it March, I think, it's just literally games, 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 games. So that's why I always wait towards like that January and I start looking at judging teams from there. Yeah.
And fans aren't, without blame here. We get too caught up in like the discussions, the minutia of everything. You're hearing people ask it because I did see that there was a Arsenal apparently are now favorites for both the Champions League and
Yeah, I saw
the
that.
Premier League. I'm like,
Yeah.
just 2 weeks ago was something different, and now it's
But
changed.
what
Like
does that? But what does that tell you?
for me, absolutely nothing, actually, right? Like, I think we already knew that we're a good team and expectation. It doesn't change
Hmm.
the weight of expectations, I can tell you that
Yeah,
much,
yeah,
right? Because coming into the season, it was always clear that, it's win now mode, right? So whatever that trophy ended up being, I think you'll be looking at this season as a disappointment if Arsenal didn't end up winning something. At least that's
yeah.
the general consensus. So
Hmm.
the expectations were always there. So I don't know if it changes. Like, it's just the fluidity of, who is favorites today. Tomorrow you lose a player, you lose a game, that can change. It's
Literally,
just
that's what
not.
they told. That's literally what he told me. That you
Yeah,
lose a game today, this is where people are
yeah.
gonna see you because a week ago, 5 points ahead, it was a different story to what everybody was hearing, right? And literally, it's the
It
same
means
thing I tried to explain
absolutely
before.
nothing.
Like,
Yeah,
it means
yeah.
absolutely nothing.
It means
Like,
absolutely nothing.
this is just, and this is the beauty of the Premier League, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, Yeah.
Yeah, I think I went to look at the stats from, or I guess the odds from last season. Do you know who the favorites were to win last season's Premier League?
Last
Yeah,
season. I'll pick it. It should be Man City now because
they were actually the
last season, yeah, it
the
should be
odds on
Man
favorite.
City.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were the
yeah,
favorites to win the
yeah,
Premier League last season. So, I don't think anybody in their right mind would say that Man City bottled the Premier League last season just because they were, favorites in the first couple of weeks and
mm,
then things tapered off. So same thing really applies here. I don't really pay too much attention to that. The expectations are what they are,
they're what they are.
all
They
of
don't
these teams.
change.
So
Yeah,
yeah. So but just before we kind of move away from the Liverpool segment, I think I asked you the same question a few weeks ago,
yeah,
actually, about how Slot and Liverpool, or even just these teams generally, are handling pressure. The reason I asked that question is we spent some time talking about conservative cowardice, whatever you want to call it, with the end of
yeah,
substitution. But just a week before that, this same Slot had accused or at least reprimanded one of his players publicly.
uh-huh,
Many people were suggesting that it was Frimpong in the previous
yeah.
game for going on the counter attack when it should have been defending. Put those two things together, and you're seeing somebody really on the edge of trying to maximize results, right? Do
Yeah.
you think that's coming as a result of pressure
Mhm.
by game week 5 or 7 in this case?
Yeah, it's definitely pressure, and I think Liverpool and Arsenal especially are going to feel those kind of pressure throughout the season because these are the two favorites for who are going to win the league, right? Although a lot of people are not putting in Man City like I've done, but they are the two people most people are looking at. So it's always going to be there. Because if you think about it, up until this very last week, that Liverpool dropped to second, where was the pressure? Everyone was talking about Mikel, calling him a coward. The buzzword of the season has been handbrakes and stuff
Handbrake.
like that. Exactly. So it's definitely pressure. And why it's pressure for slots is the fact that one, you're coming in as the champion. Two, the amount of money you have spent, but not just the money you have spent in terms of like, oh, it's such a big money. Look at the quality of players that you have brought in. So those expectations are definitely going to come with pressure. Then you losing games back to back because at the beginning of the season, when they were winning those games and were not playing well, people said that's what champions do. So again, that's another type of pressure because now you're not playing well and you've not won two games on a bounce. And all of a sudden, people are like, losing their heads already over two games. Again, that is pressure because Slot is in a situation now where he has to put this team together. He has to blend the old guys with the new guys. He's trying to implement his own system. And at the same time, he's trying to defend a title in which we know that a lot of people have not been able to defend their title back to back in this Premier League in a long time up until Pep came to do it. So there are so many types of pressure for him right now that I think he's definitely going to have to like maneuver his way about it. But the fact that you are the champ, everybody wants to beat the champion. In any sport, it's uniform across the board. Everybody wants to beat the champion. So people are going to pay more attention to them, the way they play and what they're trying to change right now. And people are going to take whatever advantage that they can. So definitely it's pressure and it's very easy in the Premier League when you're winning. When things are not working for you, that's where people also want to see how good of a coach you are, how good of a manager you are. It's one of the reasons when people come out and say this manager is better than this manager. And okay, what are you basing that off? When people come out and tell me, oh, because he has won this number of trophies, then we can't have that logical argument. Because you're looking at it based on the prize that have won, right? But what it takes to be a coach is something totally different, right? Like I see coaching as, okay, are you able to improve players? Are you able to improve young players? Are you able to improve established players? Are you able to improve world class players? Right? There are managers who are able to do all of them. Are you able to be flexible? We talk about the Amorims and all that. So to me, those are the things I look at to say, okay, this guy is a good coach or this guy is a good manager. I don't just look at winning because when you use winning to judge managers and players, then I think their actual talent itself are being put to the side and you're just looking at it from a very like abstract lens and stuff like that. So I think he's under pressure. I want to believe he has something that would guide him through the pressure. But one thing I would say is this is definitely going to be a different type of pressure because this season, I've said it, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City are the ones that are going to go for the league. Last season, Liverpool didn't have this pressure from anybody. I think that league was won by like January. Max, by the end of the January window, it was done. But now you're going to have pressure from two good teams and two good managers. So everywhere there's some type of pressure whatsoever. So, yeah.
You touched on part of the reason they have the pressure is the amount of money they've spent and the quality of players they've brought in. But there is still the feeling in the camp, the Liverpool camp, or at least even just as an observer, that perhaps they haven't solved the main problems or all of the problems that they have in their team. They spent almost what is it,
half a billion.
500, yeah. Is it half a billion
Yeah,
or
about
like
close
half a
to half a
trillion
billion.
actually?
Yeah.
Yeah. They spent,
In this
was it
window,
500? Yeah, sorry, half a billion. Yeah, almost half a
half a
billion.
billion in
Sorry.
this window.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
close to. Yeah.
And so it's funny to suggest that, a team that has spent almost half a billion is still having deficiencies or still hasn't resolved all the, you know, gaps that are in their team. What do you make of that assessment?
I remember when we did the episode about ranking, or grading the teams
Yeah,
and their
yeah, yeah,
transfer
yeah,
window.
yeah.
I
You
think I
did say
gave
that.
Liverpool an A. And I said I think they could have had a better window as well. The reason I said that is because I think they lost a lot of players and they replaced. I don't think there were really any additions, right? So, for example, the likes of Diaz, when they lost a player like Diaz, I expected them to go in and bring in another left winger.
Right.
They literally had 3, 4 center backs. That was one of the reasons they tried to bring in Gehi. They were not able to bring in Gehi. I thought they would have had a second option. They didn't because now they're down to Konate, Gomez, and Van Dijk actually. Yeah, because the young kid got injured. Although it's easier to say in terms of like you looking back now, you say, I really think they did not need Isak anymore. And the only reason I'm saying that is because that was 150 million that could have changed this team. I think they could have brought another good winger, a centre back, and possibly a second six or something, because they already have the McAllisters, Verts, Jones, and all those people who I think can do the 8 and 10s and all like that. But primarily, I'll say for sure, 150 million can get you a worldy left winger, a good backup for your centre back, or someone that can stand next to Van Dijk, and one more player. So I think that would have been money well spent. Not that the money they spent wasn't well spent, but I guess when we look back, I'm sure a lot of Liverpool players would have said, well, especially when you see the way Ekitike has hit the ground running, I think they could have done with a left winger because I'm not of the opinion that I think Gakpo is a good option to come off the bench. So I think they could have done much better on the left wing position for sure.
Yeah, the Isak thing is interesting. I think we talked about it in the banter call on Sunday. And I agree, but I also have some empathy or at least understand why they might
Oh,
have completed that
1,000%.
deal,
Yeah.
right? Because
I would complete the deal.
you got to complete the
Yeah.
deal, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if it's there to be done, you do it for a player like Isak. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, this is the cards that they have to deal for the rest of the season, or at least of January, right? So we'll see how they navigate that. I don't think we have anything else on the Liverpool side, do we? I'm trying to think.
No.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
pretty
what
much it.
about Chelsea? Let's give Chelsea just a little bit of time. Like, what were your takeaways from that game moving forward? Because prior to coming into the Liverpool game, I think the only game they won was Benfica and I think their Carling Cup games. Because I remember they drew Brentford, they lost to Brighton. I think they lost to someone else. I can't really remember.
Bayern
Like,
Munich.
oh, Bayern Munich, exactly.
Right.
So what do you take from that game for Chelsea going forward? Like, what do you see?
Absolutely nothing, actually. And I say that in the sense that Chelsea have it in them to get up and beat one of the big guys. They are a big team themselves. They have quality players in the squad, right? Now Palmer's obviously out, who I think is one of the best players in the league. Maresca is a decent coach too, right? Tactically astute, and he can definitely get a result. In terms of getting a result against Liverpool, I mean, I predicted that, and not to say that all our predictions are correct, but you
Yeah.
could see that, like, they're able to get up and beat a team like that. The problem
Yeah.
with Chelsea has always been the consistency over a 38 game season. I think you addressed that last time I asked you about,
Yeah.
why don't they get a lot of, heat on them, right?
Yeah.
They could be a decent cup team because there are fewer games. Their challenge would be, can they go do that in a 38 game season alongside a Champions League season, alongside an FA Cup run, alongside the Carabao Cup run? I think they're still in it. So we still have to find out more about Chelsea, but from getting 3 points at home to Liverpool, I don't think I took much out of that game personally.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing for me. I think a lot of the times when it comes to these big games, I try to also like take them in isolation sometimes. But again, it also depends on the context, right? I think Chelsea knew that this was a game they were meant to win. On the day I give them their credit, but again, I also would like to see them against the Bournemouths, the Fulhams, and see how they approach those games, right? Granted, as you said, they have some injuries now, which I think is going to be another problem for Chelsea, having to they played a lot of games last season, Conference League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, then they went into the Club World Cup. So I feel they're a team that will suffer with a lot of injuries this season. Not that I'm wishing it on them, but I think they're going to suffer a lot of injuries this season just because of the amount of games their players have been exposed to. But I'll definitely want to see. I don't even know who their next game is, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they move on from there because that was such a big result from there against Liverpool, and we'll see how they go from there.
I think as you were speaking, one thing I wanted to add to that is I actually just realized that João Pedro actually played that game, and we
Yeah,
just
it
spent
was. It
an
was.
entire segment. It didn't even come up. I actually totally forgot. And beyond that is the wingers. Chelsea look like they have a plethora of wingers, right?
Mhm.
It seems like they have. I can't even name all of them. But when I look at those guys, I don't see a lot of output. Neto is a guy, as you know, I've been very critical of. Like his numbers suggest that
Yeah,
he can do much better than that. Like I
yeah.
think he averages 3 goals, 3 assists a season, something like that, right? And for over 50 million pounds, I think you could do much better than that. Ganacho, the same thing. We're gonna have to see some output there. Gittins yet to get off the mark, new guy, so maybe we give him some time to adjust. But when you look at that front line, Pedro got off to a good start. I don't think we've seen. It seems like it fizzled out just a little bit. So um, I'd
I
like to
think
see
that's
how
going to
they
be their
generate.
I think that's going to be their
Yeah,
problem this season. They're
yeah. I'd like
attacking.
to
I
see how
mean,
they generate
you're
goals
one of
outside of the box.
the few people you know my thoughts on Pedro. Like I said, good player, talented player, but I just don't think he's the kind of player that Chelsea. I don't want to say need, but the expectations that a lot of people will have from Pedro, I don't think they are going to get it, especially in a Chelsea shirt. And this is me evaluating him from the kind of player he is, but also what I have seen in him in Brighton, right? And then when you look at the other attackers, like you've mentioned, a lot of them don't come out to produce those numbers, right? You can also see how they play when Palmer is also not in the team. Good for them. They've brought in this Esteval kid that looks like he's definitely has something. So again, we're going to
I
see
like
how,
that kid actually.
yeah, we're going to see how they're going to have that boy involved in the attacking way of their playing style and all. But I think Maresca should also think about involving the other players like their midfielders and all in terms of like the goals because I think goals could really be a problem for them. Garnacho has never been the one to give impressive numbers. I don't think Gittins would give impressive numbers in the Premier League. I don't think Pedro would give more than what he used to give at Brighton. If he does, I think it will be very similar. Pedro
Bryson or
Neto, sorry, no, Brighton, Pedro.
oh Pedro. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
João Pedro, you mean?
yeah,
Okay.
João Pedro. Neto, we've seen him in Chelsea now for what, a season or 2 seasons already. So we already know what he's going to bring out already. Modric is still MIA. Who else? Delap is
Forgot about that
injured.
guy, man.
That guy is still there. Delap is injured. Coco is out. Oh, they brought the Gui guy. So yeah, that I think that's the attacking part of their team is where I see where the problem is going to lie. I think their midfield is very impressive. I like their midfield. Other parts of the team, I'm not really a fan.
Yeah, I think we could draw the line there on Chelsea.
Yeah.
Before just as we move on, right? So Chelsea obviously getting their bounce back win. Liverpool have plenty to consider in their little mini crisis. Another team that seems to be coming out of, or at least navigating their own crisis of some sort, is the Manchester United team. They got a result at home against, was it Sunderland? Um,
Sunderland.
yeah, and I think Sesko got off. Well, he didn't get off the mark. He got a second goal in that game, if I remember. So, two goals for the season. I don't think there's much to really talk about that game specifically. You've
Yeah.
seen Ratcliffe give an interview, which I'm sure you've seen by now, talking about giving him more time and
I
comparing
haven't
him.
seen the full interview yet.
Uh,
I tried to. Did you watch it?
no, I didn't. I just saw like
Okay.
I've read some of the transcripts just
Yes,
to
yes. I've seen a
get a
few of the
sense of
transcripts, but I
the
haven't seen
gist.
the full. Yeah.
But I think the general gist was backing Amorim, looking to give him more time.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had talked about him potentially seeing out his 3-year contract. And then he compared him to
Before
the
you
stuff
move
of
on,
Arteta.
does he have a 3-year contract?
I think he does.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or at
I
least
thought
that's
it
what
was
they
like I
indicated.
thought it was like a 2.5 or
No.
2.
Let's see. Amorim's
I thought it
contract.
was like a 2.5. But I guess 2.5 is basically actually no, 2.5 is not 3.
Yeah, well, his initial contract runs until 2027. And there is an
So two
option
and a
to be
half.
extended to
Okay.
2028.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
Ratcliffe was saying that he would want to give him a 3-year period, which I
Mm-hmm.
guess uh, is along the lines of his contract to prove
Yeah.
himself. Given the run of results, what did you make of those comments? And particularly, once we touch on that, there's always this Arteta thing as the yardstick for giving a
Mm-hmm.
manager time. So
Yeah.
maybe we take both of those two things one at a time.
In terms of him wanting to give Ruben 3 years, I'm not against it for personal reasons, but also
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sporting reasons, right? Because, like, I think I've said it here before. If they really believe he's the man for the job and they are willing to stick by him, I tell them they should, right? But I also think that um the Ineos, let me use it. Yeah, I think Ineos, I'm beginning to get this feeling from them that they see Manchester United for what it is now. And they know that for them to repair whatever is wrong is going to take a long time, right? Because I'm sure you saw some of the stats or one of the stats that came out about his Ruben Amorim's win in the last 8 months. And the teams
There are
he had
six
won
teams, yeah.
were 2 Premier League teams. Each of those games, they both had a 10. They both had a red card. And I think the 4 other teams, they are either have been relegated from the Premier League right now, or they have just been promoted to the Premier League this season. That is very telling, right? But then again, like I said, if this is the manager you want to stick with, by all means, as long as you are willing to withstand those consequences, right? Because you're
Mhm.
going to have pressure from the fans. They're going to come out, and we're already hearing a lot of people saying sack him already, right? So it's good he's coming out to back the manager. But if I'm Ruben, I would tell him, do not trust that guy. Like I literally tweeted it when I saw that thing. I was like, this man is moving like Conrad. I don't know if you've seen the show
The
Mobland.
Succession.
I
Oh, which
said,
one
no,
is
no,
it
no,
called?
Mobland.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen the one Mobland. I'm like, this guy is moving like Conrad from Mobland. Do not trust this guy and think that your job is safe. Because this is the same people that came out to back Ten Hag at what point in time, even give him a new contract, and within 3 months, they let him go. So don't think that your job is safe. The second part of the question, in the comparison to Mikel, sometimes I see where they are coming from. And when I see where they are coming from, I think I relate it to the time where I think Mikel had 11, 12 game run. And I think he won one and he lost the rest. So a lot of the times I want to believe that is where they are coming from. Like, yes. But when you look at it in that point in time, Mikel had a little bit of a credit in the bank. And when I say credit in the bank was because the season before when he first started, he won the FA Cup, right?
Right.
Also, we were seeing a style of play When things were not going for Mikel at the beginning of his tenure, remember that was when he switched to the back three. We won the FA Cup with the back three. But the following season, you could clearly tell that he was making changes to how we were playing. And we were suffering for the results, but you could tell there were a lot of personnel situations in that team, right? Also, I think the Amazon documentary helped Mikel as well. He opened up a lot of behind the scenes for especially fans to cool off in terms of the pressure. But flip it, when people compare or they try to compare themselves with Mikel, I also would like for them to know that the state in which Mikel found this club and Amorim found this club are two different places.
Touch on that
right?
a little bit. What do you mean?
So when I say that Arsenal was in the mud when Mikel came over, if you remember Mikel's first press conference, he came and he wasn't here to, we're here to make top four, make it back to the Champions League and all that. He said the first thing he was going to need to do was change the mindset, the culture and everything around the club, right? That was one. When you look at the quality of players that Mikel had at that time, compared to the quality of players Manchester United have at this time, again, totally different. I'm not saying Manchester United are not in the mud, but I'm just saying there are also other things that when you look at it, and it's not really the same, right? So I think at that time, the board knew and already agreed with Mikel that this is the approach we're going to take. We want to put an overhaul to this team. So even when he was bringing those results of 11 losses out of 12, they had already seen or accepted this situation prior to those results. And that's why they stuck with him. Again, like I said, when you look at the quality of the squad and stuff, Mikel's first two transfer windows, I don't think Mikel spent more than £100 million in those first two transfer windows. This
Each or
last
combined?
combined, I don't think so.
We'll
In
have to.
this very transfer
Someone's gonna
window,
fact check that for us.
again, they can question my ball knowledge, but I'm sure I'll come up, I'll come out on top. I don't think he spent more than 100. I don't think he spent more than £100 million because his first transfer window was in January, and if I remember, that was the window he brought the likes of all them Cedric from Southampton for free, Pablo Mari and Gabriel.
Mm.
The summer was when he brought Thomas Partey and I think Willian on a free. I think that was the same window. So I'm pretty confident he did spend up to £100 million. This summer, Ruben has spent 200 and something million pounds already. Again, not the same. When Mikel came to Arsenal, this was his first job as a manager with no experience. And you put him in a club like Arsenal to do all the work you are expecting from a lot of big managers to do. Ruben Amorim has already been a manager, has already won titles where he was a manager, and you've brought him to Manchester United. So that's why I said it's not as face on value as Jim would make it sound. But if he's coming from the angle of the results that Mikel was having at that point in time, then I understand. But again, like I said, they are very, very different. So I found that part a little bit funny that he was comparing or saying Mikel literally got to the same time. It's funny. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but you know,
What was your take when you even saw it?
I think some of the same things you've shared, but I also think that it's not telling a complete story, right? You talked about, Mikel having some cachet in the back, but you look at the data itself, like in the first 50 games, I think Mikel's win rate was about 54%. Not great, but that suggested that he was
So
winning
that's one
more
and
than
two.
about 1 in 2 games, right? And you look on the other side with Amorim, it's about 30 something percent, right? So there's still
Oh, he's got into 30%. I thought it was 20 something.
when you look, because you're in
Okay.
the Premier League, right? But you consider some of the Europa
The other
games and
games
stuff,
and all, yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
right? It bumps the percentages up just a little bit, right? And so I think it's different. And I know even the
Yeah.
FA Cup, people don't give Mikel a lot of credit for that, right? But you mentioned he put that in the bag, so he had at least some kind of new manager bounce. I was joking in one of our chats that this is the only manager that I've seen not have a new manager bounce. We just haven't seen it, So I think
Are we
it's
still expecting it?
Oh no, at this point,
Oh, okay.
this guy has played almost. I asked
It's
this
almost a
question
full
clearly.
season now. He has played a full season
Exactly.
already
A
now.
full
Yeah.
season is 38 games, Premier
Yeah.
League games. He's managed over 30 something, 32
Yeah.
plus Premier League games or so.
Hmm.
So, um, I think he's already overseen, what looks like almost a full Premier League season.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a fair enough
Yeah. I
comparison
don't think
for
it
some of
is.
the other things you've mentioned. But hey, look, if United want to keep him much longer and use that as a yardstick, then by all means, I think we're encouraged them to do so. Yeah, I think people forget some of the things that Mikel. What actually, I'm going to ask you, what do you think about Mikel not getting credit? Because you hear this all the time that he has not won anything. They discount the FA Cup win because it wasn't his win, right? So you hear that a lot. What do you make of that?
I think we're just in a very crazy world now where banter has brought a lot of like toxicity into football that a lot of
Right.
people are not able to like see things for what they are, right? Like I said, it's quite fair. I would never argue against if Mikel needs to win a trophy or not, especially with what he has done, what he has invested, and where he has brought the team to, right? But again, when it comes to Mikel, I look at things by, again, I'll bring back like I was never his fan when we hired him. The thing with Mikel is I held Mikel to what he said he was going to do. And that's why sometimes I tell people, I say, go back to his first press conference and listen to what he said. He didn't come out here to promise us top four or win titles or anything. He said for us to get to that level, these are the things we needed to do. And he's literally done everything that way, right? In terms of people not giving him credit, again, like I said, I think a lot of people know Mikel is a good manager. For a lot of them, it's also hard for them to admit it, right? But I just always look at it as banter because when you look at managers in the game and you see how they speak about Mikel, or when you see his own opposing managers when they play his team and how they speak about his team, I think that's telling enough, right? Because these are the guys in the game. These are the guys that know everything. We are looking at the contracts of players that are being extended. That should also tell you something that the players also see, if not the manager, they also see the club in a certain way. And this is all been down to Mikel's doing. This is a manager that had no experience. And then you throw him into a club like Arsenal to change things around, which he has done. And he's raised the expectation level to where it is today, right? You said something about the FA Cup. When I hear people speak about, oh, it wasn't his team. What does that mean? Like, so if I gave you tools to build a house, you didn't build the house, and I call one man randomly, I gave him the same tools I gave to you, and he builds that same house I wanted him to build. Do you get the credit, or does the guy that who just built the house gets the credit? We're all smart people here, right?
Well, I think the argument people make is that you only manage for the later rounds of the FA
Mm-hmm.
Cup. I think that's really where
But
that
but
the
but that was
tools
not
is
even
coming
that
from.
was not even the case. Mikel got hired in November or December 2019. The FA Cup was won in August 2021. Sorry, August 2020. I employ anybody to go check who was the manager of Arsenal for the very first game in the FA competition. I employ anybody to go check the records. And I'll bet any money that he was the one that was who managed the very first game to the very final.
Wait, let's unpack that. So you're saying the first game of Arsenal's run in that FA Cup for that
Yes.
FA Cup win was managed
Yes.
by Mikel.
Was managed by
Interesting.
Mikel Arteta. Yes.
So where
Because the
does
FA
this
Cup starts in
narrative?
January.
Yeah. So where does the narrative
So
come from?
that's why I say it's banter. That I file it under the archives for banter because it's the easiest thing to do. If we're going to
This is
keep that same
interesting. Yeah, I just learned that today.
if we're going to keep that same energy, then we shouldn't be giving credit to the likes of Slot for winning the league with Klopp's team. We shouldn't. Why should I give Slot the credit? Because he won with another man's team. He didn't build that team. Right? So that's why I say like we're all intelligent people. It makes no sense because I'm sure if we go back a lot, What do you want to tell me? Di Matteo won the Champions League with his team for Chelsea? Is that what we're
Yeah,
not going to
yeah,
say?
yeah, yeah. Shaking some tables here, you know.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if we really want to go down that route, we would
Yeah, yeah,
definitely go
yeah.
down, and it's going to get to some very uncomfortable
It's gonna get
discussions,
messy. It's
right?
gonna get
So
messy. Yeah,
this is a guy that's why I use the example of if I gave you tools to build a house and you couldn't build that house, and I give that same tools to another person, why am I giving you credit for doing a job you couldn't do
right.
and discredit the guy that did the job and say, oh no, you did it with those guys' tools. Why didn't you bring your tools? It also tells me a lot about the last manager that you were not able to do. People forget that Unai Emery took this same Arsenal to a
That name
Europa League
triggers me,
final.
my guy.
People forget he took us to a Europa League final. What happened?
Yeah,
And
I
what
don't even
happened?
like that game is a
So,
blur in my mind, man.
like, if again, like I keep saying it, I file it under the archives for banter. Mikel gets his credit, and for his own sake and for his own hard work, I hope he gets something in return.
Yeah, that's a good. I mean, we started with the United segment, so we might as well just pivot right to Arsenal since we spent quite a bit of time already talking about Mikel. I think he managed his 300th game in charge,
Yeah,
300th
yeah.
Premier League game, I think.
Oh,
And
really? I thought it was just
he,
300 games.
I thought it was the Premier League game actually.
Really?
It couldn't. No, it can't
No,
be.
no, it can't be Premier
No, it
League.
can't
It
be.
has to
Yeah,
be
it can't be
games. Yeah,
because
it
it has
can
to be
be.
games. Yeah,
It
it
has
can't
to be
be.
games. Yeah.
And he has won 177, I believe, which is really
So
interesting because it
close
puts him right
50
there
something
with
percent.
Klopp.
Oh,
It's weird, right? Because
yeah.
only managers like it's tied with Klopp, but only managers like I think Guardiola has the highest win rate.
Yeah.
Then I think Mourinho. I can't remember the list now, but it's elite managers from there on out.
I would like to
Um,
see that list.
Yeah, I'll get a list. I should actually have taken a screenshot before we came on. But yeah, it's an interesting one. You've just spent some time talking about his time in the club, so we just want to take a couple minutes to talk about expectations moving forward. Because when you look
Yeah.
at that list, it's a whole bunch of winners, right? And
Definitely.
you
Has to
know,
be.
and all Mikel is bringing to the table right now is an FA Cup and a, you know, I think 3 second place
Yeah.
finishes.
Yeah.
He has some really interesting records. He has the most points for an Arsenal team, no titles. Most wins, I think, in the season, no titles, and stuff like that. So the expectation now has to be winning for sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to touch on that, right? Like, what do you think happens from here on out, given the track
Yeah.
record?
I really, yeah, I'm sure that list is definitely going to be filled up with winners. And
I'm actually going
to
to pull it up as we're
So I'll
speaking.
say to even just cut the story short, Mikel just has to win. Few minutes ago, I said, you hear other managers speak about him. You hear opposing managers speak about his team, how difficult it is to play and how he's doing a great job. And I will always give him his credit. But these records will not mean or hold water if he doesn't win something. And that's why I'm always of the opinion that when Mikel wins something, I'm actually looking forward to seeing what the narratives are going to be. Few episodes ago, I think I spoke about the competitive landscape of this Premier League and we'd see how much different it's been. This is a manager who has no experience, has come into the Premier League. He's literally battling with the best of the best. Like when I mean the best of the best, he's been in what, 2 title races with Pep Guardiola, right? I wouldn't consider
Yep.
him being in a title race with Slot. Hopefully he does the same thing and is a title race this season. This is a guy who, in his first ever appearance as a manager in the Champions League, he made it to the quarterfinals. His second appearance in the Champions League, he made it to the semifinals, right? So yes, he's done a lot of good things, but then again, this is where the trophies come to lay that stamp for you, so that when people look back, they have something to talk about. Because it's all going to be rendered useless at the end of the day if, again, like I said, we're just in the banter world in terms of toxicity in football, where someone else comes in if Mikel is not here tomorrow and he rips off all that benefits, right? So I think this season he definitely has to win. I have a different type of expectations in terms of the trophies that I want him to win. and stuff like that. And again, this is all testament to his own work. He's the one that brought us here. He's the one that gave us these expectations. He set these expectations for this club, right? Wenger is one of my favorite managers. The latter part of his years, we were not competing.
Right.
Even when Arsene Wenger was winning FA Cups, I still wasn't happy because I still remember the Arsenal growing up and what I used to watch my team do. So, like I said, he definitely needs to win, and I hope he wins something major because the narrative is going to change. And if there's one thing I've noticed about Mikel is he really sets himself some high standards, and I like when he does that. Right? I like when he does that. For a manager that I had no belief or thought he could do anything, it's funny how they're able to change your mindset and you say things a little bit differently. I remember when Unai came into Arsenal, I would say I was more of a bigger fan of Unai Emery than I was Mikel Arteta. But my mindset switched about both of them. So he needs to win, especially this season. He has no excuses this season. He definitely has to win.
Sounds good, man. Speaking of winning, Arsenal did play a game against West Ham at home. Another one of those teams that
2 games.
categorize what did we play?
Remember we had Olympiacos Champions League.
Oh, we haven't. I think we met.
Oh, okay. No, I think we talked about that the last one. Yeah.
In the
True
last
that.
episode.
My bad. Yeah.
So West Ham had been a bit of a boogie team for us. I think we've lost at home to them twice now. 2 seasons consecutively. And so it always felt like one of those games that we had to go make something right. And that's exactly what it turned out to be. It seemed very comfortable. Seems like a long time ago now, was it? Especially given the fact that Liverpool ended up dropping points. That ended up opening up a lead at the top. It's been a long time where we played first, if I remember correct.
We played Saturday, yes. Yeah.
And so we had a chance to open up the lead and put some pressure, and it's been a long time that has happened, and we did just that. What did you make of that West Ham game at home?
It was like you said, it was a very comfortable win, and I think I've watched back the game on 2 different occasions now, and when I looked at that game, I think those are the kind of games that if anybody has a chance to watch the game again, I think that's how Mikel likes his games. You know, when you have total control of the game, like total control, first to last minute. West Ham were no threats, nothing. If that game ended 1-0, Mikel would have been comfortable with it. But we also missed a few chances in that game. And I think we played very well. The only downside to that game was Odegaard's injury, because I was looking forward to seeing. Remember, I kept saying I want to see the likes of Eze, Odegaard together, and maybe Rice or Supermendi. And that was the first lineup or the first weekend that he put out that lineup. So I was looking forward to seeing how they were going to play together. Unfortunately, he got injured. But if you watch that game again, when Zubimendi came in, he literally bossed that game. The ball was moving faster. We were passing much more direct. Again, I keep saying this, game week 6 to 10, I'm sure we're going to see how this Arsenal plays. I haven't seen Arsenal play this direct under Mikel Arteta. And I'm even bringing it back to the 2022-2023 season. We were playing attacking, flowing football, but we don't play direct. Since the first game I noticed us playing direct was Athletic in the Champions League, game week 1. I noticed we were playing directly. And I think that is what Zubimendi does for us a lot in that midfield. He was superb in that game. Himself, Declan Rice, Gabriel, Calafiori was very, very good in that game. I don't think Gyökeres had I think this was actually one of his bad games so far in an Arsenal shirt. But the thing I noticed with Gyökeres watching this West Ham game again, and I've taken a look at other games, our wingers are now able to isolate themselves with a fullback because of Gyökeres. The way he stretches their defense, he's occupying 2 defenders basically. Against Olympiacos, against this game, you will see most times when he was going for the ball, except for the 50-50s around the midline of the pitch. But anything that was close to their box, he was always surrounded by two people, which always left our wingers isolated, whoever was the most advanced midfielder isolated, and our right winger isolated as well. So you're having the likes of Saka going in one-on-one, giving the likes of Calafiori or Timber on Saka's end to be able to overlap. So I think that is how Mikel is going to approach most of the games, especially at the Emirates, where we're expected to have a little bit of control. But it was a total comfortable game for us. And credit to the boys. When Chelsea and Liverpool were playing the following day, there was two things that I've noticed I have done this season. Any team we play, I go look at the results we had against them last season. And if you remember when we did the preview for the West Ham game, I said this was a team that had beaten us twice, especially at the Emirates. So don't look at it like, oh, it's at the Emirates. We're just going to be able. Mm-mm. And now they had a new manager as well. You know who is able to keep his shape and things like that. So I was very impressed how we played, approached, and bossed the game. So kudos to the team. I literally there's nothing negative to say about the game.
Yeah, same actually. So I'm just gonna leave it there. I do think actually what I'll add is it's unfortunate that Odegaard now has the unwanted record of being the first player in Premier League history to start 3 games and get subbed off before halftime. In this case, it was obviously down to injuries. I don't think it's anything that he could have done differently about both of them shoulder injuries, and the last one was, as we've now found out, an MCL. Hopefully, he recovers sooner than later from that.
Yeah, hopefully.
But yeah, I agree. We had a lot better shape once the men came in. I did have questions. You know where you and I stand when it comes to Gyökeres. I think there's still plenty I would like to see regarding Gyökeres, right? But there was a lot of chatter on the internet as far as like the penalty. When we got the penalty, Saka literally grabbed the ball and said he's taking a penalty.
I remember now. Yeah.
You could see that they had a little discussion on the pitch, and it was quite brief, and it was quite clear that Saka was going to take that penalty.
Yeah.
People were making the point that maybe Saka should have let Gyökeres take that penalty. What did you make of that?
Again, let's look at it. Let's use the last 2-3 seasons, how we play our penalties. Most of the time, the penalties is played by Saka, right? But we've seen situations where Odegaard will play the penalty. We've seen situations where Havertz have played the penalty. We've seen situations where Gabriel Jesus has played the penalty. So I'm the kind of guy your best penalty taker should take the penalty. And I believe our best penalty taker is Gyökeres, right? And this is just based on what I have seen. But also, I think whatever happened, which I didn't pay any attention to until after the game, you're seeing the tweets and everything, and you see people begging for Gyökeres was begging for the penalty or something. I literally didn't look at it like that, right? Like, if I look at how we play penalties, I don't know what they're talking about, but it could just be like, okay, who's taking this penalty? You go to take it, or you want me to take it? And that was it. That's how I see it. But secondly, people don't also forget that was Saka's 200 game in an Arsenal shirt. Yeah. And marking it with a goal definitely was going to make it pretty special. So I didn't pay any attention to it. I was not for or against it. Whoever took the penalty, I was definitely fine with it. My preference is, again, I feel my best penalty taker should always be the one to take the penalties. But again, like I said, with Arsenal, we've had Odegaard, Saka, Gabriel Jesus, so many Kai Havertz take the penalty. And I don't think it's going to change. Yeah.
Well, I felt.
What was your opinion when you saw it?
I felt quite different about it. I was very happy that Saka took it. And I think on the last episode, I talked about my feelings when we had the penalty that wasn't given against Newcastle. And I shared that the first thing that crossed my mind was, okay, so who is going to take the penalty? It's the first time we're facing.
Who did you think was going to take that penalty if it was a penalty?
In that particular case, I would have wanted Gyökeres to take it, right?
Okay.
And because I've shared with you in our different chats privately as well that I actually don't think Saka is that great of a penalty taker.
He's not. Exactly.
His record is not too bad, but his
Aren't you
penalty
scared
just
when he's
doesn't give
about to take a
me.
penalty?
Yeah, his penalty honestly
Exactly.
doesn't give me a lot of confidence.
Confidence. Yeah, it
Just
doesn't.
to be completely
Mm-hmm.
transparent, right? For
No,
especially
I'm
those
with you on
people that
that
are
one.
looking for our internal memo conversations. Like
Yeah,
Saka just never gives me a lot of
that's great
confidence.
confidence.
Like,
Yeah.
Gyökeres, he takes his penalties with a lot more, at least from what I've seen, more
Vim.
aggressive, very
Yeah.
like there's usually only one outcome, right?
Yeah.
um and because Gyökeres had such a great game at the time against
Mm-hmm.
Newcastle, I thought he deserved something for his effort at
Yeah.
that particular point in time in Newcastle. And I texted you, I was like, Gyökeres has something for me this game. And
Yeah.
clearly that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Coming out of that game into this West Ham game, I'm like, okay, guy, the pampering period is about to start coming to an end, right? You got
Mm-hmm.
signed for quite a bit of money. You're the guy that I was not really the most thrilled, as you know, not because I don't like Gyökeres, but because I've said numerous times that I think there's a different kind of profile of striker that, just given what I know about the team and the
The
manager, would
team.
probably have the
Yeah.
best suited. Gyökeres is an Arsenal player now. We support him, but I also operate in good faith. You can't, in good faith, come at other players for their performance or lack thereof. And then,
Mm-hmm.
right now we're looking at 3 goals or something, and they've happened against like lesser opposition. So
Mm-hmm.
there's still that, okay, you're brought in here as a striker to kill off some of these games and
Yeah.
finish some of these chances. I don't want you, you know, padding the stats off penalties, right? Especially coming into a team. I've said earlier, Saka is not the guy that gives me the most confidence with penalties, but clearly it's his team and it's his penalties. Like at the moment, it looks like he's a designated penalty taker.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to change that just because you brought a star signing as a striker to come and do something different. If you want to get the
Yeah.
goals, you're going to have to show that in performances week in, week out. And his chance will come, his moment will come
Mm-hmm.
where he has a chance to get those goals. I didn't
Yeah.
make much of it. I thought, as long as Saka scored, I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't make much of it. Like, I mean, you know how I feel about Gyökeres. I rate him very highly, and
It's
this is
important that we
because
have these discussions, right?
yeah,
Because people
it's
think
and me
we're so like we agree on everything.
and me, like I said, I'm fortunate to have watched this guy play football when he played at Sporting, and from the get go, I've said that is the guy I want in my team because he's something
You've
totally
said that actually,
different,
yeah.
something totally different to what we know and what we have, and it's one of the reasons. Again, when I see how he plays and everything, and I still don't, I'm still not worried about him, right? And the reason I'm still not worried about him is forget his Sporting Lisbon this thing. Just look at the goals he scored for Arsenal already in an Arsenal shirt. These are striker goals. Like that's the kind of person I want leading my line. And maybe because I played as the same thing too, like that's why I say things a little bit differently when it comes to him. In terms of penalty, I like how he bangs his penalty. I don't want to be
Samco,
scared. I don't want to be scared of anything. When it's
I'll
just
give him
like,
that one. I'll give him
yeah,
that one.
yeah, it's just like when you see the likes of like, I even forgot to put another name in someone that used to take penalty for us. Jorginho. Jorginho used to take penalties for us in Arsenal.
I
He used
don't
to
worry
take
about
it. It's
players that
just
are not getting more.
exactly. So that's the thing. I do not want to worry. When Manchester United have a penalty, we know 99%. As long as this guy is on that pitch, he's taking it. That's the same way I feel about those penalties because I know I can trust him to bang those goals because he's a striker. And I know that when this team, the other thing I need to even point out when it comes to Gyökeres, right? Have you noticed we've played 7 games? Do you notice Gyökeres has played with
He's played
Trossard
more
at
than
left
7
wing?
games
Oh no, I'm just talking about the Premier League. Okay,
on the
actually, yeah.
Premier League.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Actually, let's bring the other games, including the Champions League and all, right? And including the Carabao Cup, he came off the bench. He's played with Eze at left wing, Trossard at left wing, Martinelli at left wing,
And Martinelli are right wing.
Madueke at left wing. He's played Madueke at right wing, Saka at right wing, Wanere at right wing, Max Doman at right wing, Martinelli at right wing. That's 5 players.
Right.
Behind him or whoever is playing the 10, he's played with Merino, a little bit with Odegaard. He's played with Hazard. Sorry, Eze. behind him. So we all know the way we play. Arsenal play off building those relationships. You know, the Saka, Odegaard, Ben White, Saka, Odegaard, Timber. Now we're getting the Declan Rice, Calafiori, and whoever is on the left, be it Eze and stuff like that. So that's why I say when it comes to Gyökeres, I literally have, I'm not, I have no worries with that guy
We'll
because
see. We'll
I
see.
know this boy is going to do a job. I know that
We'll
for a
see.
fact. Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, time will tell. I'm an Arsenal fan, so I'd love it if you're right. I want to see it. But more than anything, I want to see the team win. And
Yes.
hopefully you can contribute to doing that one way or the other. So looking forward to
Hmm.
that. Before we move away from Arsenal, one last news that I wanted to touch on. I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but we're seeing reports that Raya has agreed. I guess it's just a salary raise. It doesn't
Yeah, I
look
think
like
it was
there'll
the
be
same thing
financial
they did with
compensation with
Trossard.
Trossard.
Hmm.
I think he deserves that. You know, where do you think Raya lands today as far as like best goalkeepers in the world? And you know, you can touch on that contract situation.
Phew, best goalkeepers in the world. I think there are a few out there. There's we have this Donnarumma guy, there's Courtois, there's Allison and all that. But like I've always said, I'm definitely gonna put him out there. I think the more you watch him, and if you knew him from Brentford, you see that he has improved a lot and all that. So I consider him world class already. I consider him
Right.
world class. I consider him one of the best in the league. When you put up two clean sheets, sorry, not two clean sheets, two golden gloves back to back, that tells me something. A lot of people are going to say, it's because of the defense he has in front of him. But you need to also realize that in those moments when those defense are not there, like we have seen
Yeah.
in so many times with David Raya, he shows out. So
Right.
definitely, I do rate him highly. I'm happy with him extending his contract. But when I see these players extending his contract, I just go back to Andre Beta and I say, wow, this guy has literally come into this club in less than a year and he's made so much difference because he's not just thinking about the presence of this club, he's also thinking about the future of the club. We're hearing the likes of Timber, and I bet you not Declan Rice is going to be following suit very soon. The Odegaards and all in terms of contract. Contract doesn't just tell you that players are going to stay it tells you they believe in something that is happening there. But also from the club's point of view, you also need to understand that the club are also protecting their assets.
Correct.
This our squad is a very young squad. When you look at the people who are over the age of 27 now, you're looking at who? Ben
Is
White,
a
Eze,
what?
Raya,
Yes.
who else?
No God.
Nogard, thank you.
No
And
God.
Nogard. So it tells you this is a squad that can still be together for another 4 or 5 years. But at the same time, you're protecting your assets, you're protecting your value and stuff like that. So very happy with the news. I just hope Andrea just keeps. And the thing I'm beginning to really like about Andrea Berta is we don't hear from him.
Yeah.
Like we don't hear from him. The only thing you're going to
Just
hear
get the
from
job
Andre
done.
Beta is statement on a signing or a contract. We
Right.
don't hear from him. I've not seen an interview from this guy since he became Arsenal sporting director. Nothing. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
don't hear from him. He's just there. He
Right.
does the job, takes the pictures, boom, and is on to the next. So very impressed by him, and I just keep. Oh, sorry. I just hope they keep doing what we need to take this team forward. Like I'm very happy with what he's doing. Like I've said before, in the situation where Mikel is not the manager tomorrow, there is no manager that would not want to take over that squad. Like literally, there is no manager that would not want to take over that squad. They are young, they are good. A lot of them still approaching their prime and stuff like that. So definitely in a good place. And I think we also have to give credits to the Kroenke, which a lot of people don't do as well. We are running this club, especially when you see where we're coming from. The club has been run in the last few years in a very good, positive direction. So kudos to all of them.
All right. We're coming to the end. I wanted to end with some reflection as we get into. We're now in the international break. I think we have one more weekend, right? I think
One
next weekend
more next week, this coming week. So next weekend,
are
we're
they
back for
games
the
next
Prem.
weekend?
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait. I've missed Premier League for sure, even if it's been
Yeah.
only a few games. So there's a game next week, is what you're saying.
From next weekend, not this weekend. Yeah.
Right,
So
right,
I
right,
think
right,
international break games should end by Tuesday, Wednesday.
right. And then teams are okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously it gives us a chance to reflect. This is the second international break since the season started. Um, just very quickly because we're almost at time. What are the players that have impressed you the most in terms of players that have just been newly signed or just moved to a new team this season?
Hmm. I think Ekitike will be one of the first people that comes to mind. I've been impressed by the left back at Brighton. I'm sorry, not Brighton, Bournemouth. Trofa, wherever the French guy that took over Kirkes. Zubimendi has been very impressive, and a lot of people still don't talk about him. But every time I watch our games, I've been very impressed with Ekitike, Zubimendi, the left back. I'm trying to go team by team in my head. In Liverpool, or was it Ekitike? Chelsea, Estaval, okay. Estaval for Chelsea. The center back, I can't remember his name at Newcastle. There's a center back they got that partners with, is it, I can't pronounce his name, but I've been very impressed with him. Who else? I was impressed with Donnarumma, especially against Arsenal and their Champions League game. So I say those would be the first few names that definitely stand out. Yeah.
Uh,
Who would be the guys for you?
for me, Zubimendi is top of the list. There's a bias
Yeah.
there, obviously, but I actually think he's
No, he's
done
been
a great
good.
job since he
He's
joined.
been good. Especially for his
Um,
position. He's
yeah.
been good.
Ekitike is up there, but I
Mm-hmm.
think one that doesn't get the credit that he deserves, or at least maybe because of the team that he's now joined. I'm so happy for what's his name now? I had it here and I forgot. The guy from Man City, that joined
Tijani?
Everton. No, the one
Oh,
that joined
Grealish.
Grealish.
Oh,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah,
True. Yeah.
Grealish has had a
He's
chance to
had a
really
very,
reinvent himself.
and I don't think he's
That's
had a bad game so far.
no,
Yeah.
and actually
Because I know I
Everton are
saw their
doing
first two
really
games.
well. Yeah, Everton are
Yeah.
doing really well.
They had a very good transfer window. They brought in
Correct.
techie
Yeah.
players and I didn't even know the likes of David Moyes would still be interested in by this time.
Yeah.
But they brought in, no, it's true.
Yeah.
They brought in the Grealish guy. They brought in, Drewsby Hall. They brought
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
it, what's his name from Southampton? The Dublin guy. They have this other South American guy as well that they have that plays in the midfield, can also play in attack. Now, I've been very impressed with their transfer window, but yeah, good shout with Grealish.
All right.
Yeah.
And then we turn obviously to the other side, the players that haven't impressed you since they joined or that came with
Oh.
expectations and they haven't quite met that yet.
For sure, we're all going to call Verts. Kerkez hasn't shown anything to me. I want to put Konya in there so bad, but the problem I have with putting Konya there is I didn't expect
Or
much
you had
close to.
no
I had
expectation.
no expectation for
Oh,
him going to
that's
Manchester, and this
interesting.
has nothing to do with him, right? Because I believe he's a nice player. I just felt based on what he did at Wolves, I didn't think him or even Umbuemo were going to be able to replicate what they did at Bradford and Wolves. So I'll put Konya there. I think I've been impressed with Umbuemo. Sesko, I'll give Sesko more time. I'm a big fan of Sesko, but I'll give him more time. I really still think Manchester United was a wrong choice for him at this point of his career and at his age. Who else have I not been impressed with? Oh, Chelsea. Yeah, definitely the Gittins kid. I've not been impressed with him. Who else? Actually, I forgot to add Paulinia for
For
Spurs.
Spurs, yeah,
He's actually
that's
been
a good shout.
very
Yeah.
good.
You
Yeah.
know who else I forgot to add? Paulina is obviously a good shout as
Yeah,
well.
Paulinia.
Voltemade or however
Yeah,
you pronounce
Vitamada
his
and
name,
Newcastle. Yeah.
Newcastle. Yeah,
Yeah. He's been
that's a
impressive
good
too.
shout.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, for me, the ones that haven't been impressive is a very short list. None other than Florian at Liverpool, and I'm actually going to throw Gyökeres in there, and for a
Yeah.
different reason, right? Those are two players that are joining the two teams with the biggest expectation, and
Mhm.
they came with such high expectation. Florian, because at the time was the record signing, um, filling in that creative spark, or supposed to fill in the creative spark, and we actually haven't seen anything really from him in terms of output.
Yeah.
Gyökeres has just 3 goals, but I think that because of the expectation, because of the team that is joining, I think I will put it as underwhelming right now. Until by the time we get back from the next international break, I hope I'm singing a different tune. But
Yeah.
not to the degree of Floria for sure. That has been an utter disappointment so far.
Yeah.
But just because of the expectation associated with the team and associated with that position, like fans were asking for a number 9, a goal scorer, and right now it hasn't really inspired that much confidence just yet. Um, Chelsea, I really don't have much expectation, so I didn't even know what to expect from the Gittins guy, so I can't really say I'm
Yeah.
disappointed beyond.
He's one of those guys I just feel will not hack this league. He can
Yeah,
prove
well,
me wrong, but I don't think he's one of them. Yeah.
yeah. Cunha definitely. I mean, I think I shared with you and some of our other guys that the guy just looks like he's happy to be here. This was early, right now.
Mm-hmm.
Some of his performances have been better, just no output just yet. But uh, disappointing there because you have a top 10 goal scorer from last season and just hasn't got off the mark just yet. So
Yeah.
that would be my third pick. I can't think of much else outside that because, like I said, Chelsea, I don't have much expectation for any of their players that is signed.
I think even Xavi from Spurs, I haven't been impressed with what I've seen so far. But then again, I also kind of contributed to the possibility of maybe he being played on the left. I was expected he'll be playing much more
In the
centrally,
middle, yeah.
yeah, in the middle. So all the games I've seen of him, I haven't really been impressed so far. But Paulina is definitely the one that stands out. Paulina has been
The
very,
more
very
you
good.
the more you talk about Spurs, like Paulinho has been good, but then we're also overlooking Kudus because Kudus has been decent
Yes,
too.
Kudus. That's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, yeah,
Kudus has been decent. One of the things I've noticed is he gets doubled a lot, which is
yeah.
yeah, he gets doubled a lot.
He's gonna have to get
Yeah,
used to
he's gonna have to get
that.
used to that. Yeah, he's gonna
Yeah,
have to
he's
get
such a
used to
good
that.
player, so he's
Yeah,
gonna have to get used to that.
but for Spurs, I would say they need to figure out that attack quickly.
I mean, I think they know that, but again, it's the
They
same
need
thing,
to
right?
figure
Like, I
it.
don't
They
think
need to
there's
figure it
that
quickly.
much. I'll say this, right? Other than a lot of the group chats that we're on, I don't know that there is much of an expectation of Spurs, to be fair, right? Like, if Spurs end the season 6th, would that be a bad season for Spurs?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
Because
so
you also have to look at where they came from last season. I mean, when you finish 17th and get that much of it, that's you moving 11
that's
places
huge.
in the same
Yeah.
Premier League. That's pretty huge. And yeah, that would not, yeah, I can't put that as a bad season. But like you said, if me, I know if I'm being honest, I really do not have expectations for them
No, that's my
whatsoever.
point. That's the
Yeah.
point I was trying to get to, right? Like,
Yeah.
right now they're, what is it, 4th or 5th, so they're trending
Oh,
kind
really?
of where you would expect them to
See,
be. Yeah, I think
that's a perfect example when I say I don't look at that table till I
they're
January.
third. They're actually third,
Third?
right? Yeah. So,
Really?
like I'm saying, if
Where's Man City?
Man City is 5th. But then again, to put things in context, there's 3 points separating first and 5th right now.
Really? 3 points,
Yeah.
first and fifth.
Yeah.
So
City is fifth.
Chelsea fourth?
Chelsea's 7th with 11 points.
See,
So my point,
I can't even guess that table. That's how I have not even taken a look at it.
I don't really know what's happening,
Who's
other
the
than
first
first and
10?
second.
Actually, let me
The
look
what?
at this. Who are the top 10 actually? Because they are just
Arsenal is
names you've
first.
called that I
No, you'll be
wouldn't have guessed.
surprised actually. I
So
told
Arsenal,
one of
Liverpool, Spurs, Bournemouth is
my,
fourth, Palace is
yeah,
sixth, Chelsea,
Everton is 8th.
Everton and
Sunderland is
Sunderland are in
9th.
the top 10.
Yeah. I was
Wow.
telling GMB the other day now, like, even after beating Sunderland, you still end up behind behind Sunderland.
No way.
Yeah, yeah,
Sunderland is in the. Oh, wow. That's
yeah.
impressive.
So,
Sunderland is in the top 10. Everton and Sunderland is definitely two people I wouldn't have guessed.
so now
Wow.
going back to my original question, Spurs being third right now,
Mm-hmm.
no expectation of them finishing third. If they drop to 5th or 6th, I think we would all consider that a fairly decent season
Oh
for
yeah,
Spurs,
definitely.
given first, new manager, all of that stuff. So because of that, I'm not too like, yeah, anything we get from here is good.
Yeah,
So
yeah. When you're coming all the way from 17th,
yeah.
it's pretty hard for you to have a worse season than that if you're not relegated.
I wasn't looking forward to this. I didn't have anything prepared for this, but now that you've mentioned that by the next time, no, we have one more episode
We
before.
have one more before the
Yes. So maybe we'll do just that. We'll leave
Okay.
the predictions and reviewing the games for that episode. But I
Damn.
think that that brings. What did you just see?
I said, damn, nothing for our prediction prefect this weekend.
Yeah,
Shout
nothing
out.
for him to chew on. But definitely the next episode we'll give him some meat on the bone.
Give him something.
All right, man.
Oh
Nice
boy.
catching
All right,
up, man.
man.
Enjoy the rest of
Thanks,
your
man. It
weekend.
was a good one. You
Yeah.
too.